Hello, I'm Mrs. Charity. Welcome to the Glorious Heritage Overview of Catholic Church History. Discover the amazing story of the Church together as a family as you color and paste your way through the timeline and printables, which you can find on our website. And now, let's move into our topic for today.
Hello, I'm Mr. Charity, and welcome to the Glorious Heritage Catholic History video series. Today's topic is number 150, the Syllabus of Errors. If you look on your timeline and summary question sheets, you'll notice that we are in the blue time period, which we have called Taken Away. If you don't have a timeline or summary question sheets, you can find them on our website. Have you ever made a list before? When you have many important things to remember, but you can't memorize them all, it's very useful to make a list. I'm sure your mom and dad make lists often. For instance, when they go to the grocery store, they probably bring a list of all the different kinds of food that they need to buy, because it's too much to remember. I make lists for all kinds of reasons. In fact, I even make a list to help me get ready to record these history videos. Well, today's topic is called the Syllabus of Errors, which is also a list. The word syllabus basically means list. So what things are on the Church's list, the Syllabus of Errors? To explain, we need to go back about 70 years before Pope Pius IX wrote the Syllabus of Errors. We need to go back to the French Revolution in 1789. Now, if you remember from past videos, the French Revolution was a monumental and evil event. The leaders of the French Revolution were heretics and atheists who wanted to remove the Catholic Church's authority throughout France and the rest of Europe. They murdered the Catholic king, Louis XVI, and then they hunted down and murdered priests and religious. After the French Revolution, the Catholic Church's ability to guide and rule over the people of Europe was greatly reduced. The new rulers of Europe began to introduce all kinds of new and false ideas into the hearts and minds of the people, even to poor Catholics. For example, the Catholic Church has always taught that the Pope and the Church's teaching should be practiced by the rulers of the land. In other words, the government should promote and defend the Catholic faith. However, after the French Revolution, the new rulers of Europe started to teach the opposite. They told people that the governments of Europe should not have any religion at all, and especially not the Catholic faith. This was an error, and one of the many things included on Pope Pius IX's list of errors, the Syllabus of Errors. There were so many new errors being taught after the French Revolution that Pope Pius IX thought it best to write them all down on one giant list, so devout Catholics could read and understand them in order to guard themselves against these errors. Pope Pius IX wanted to protect Catholics from these errors and defend the rights of the Church, which were under attack. One more example of an error included in the Syllabus of Errors is the false idea of religious liberty. Now, we know the Catholic Church was founded on the 12 Apostles by our Lord, and because the Catholic Church and the faith came from God, it therefore is the only true religion in the whole world. All other religions are false and lead to hell. Because the Catholic religion is the only true religion, the Church and the Catholic rulers have always stopped and punished heretics who tried to spread false religions. But after the French Revolution, the new rulers of Europe didn't want to follow the old Catholic rules. Instead, they wanted all the false religions to spread around as much as they wanted. This was called religious liberty, and it was condemned by Pope Pius IX in his Syllabus of Errors. Now Mrs. Charity will tell you more about Pope Pius IX and the enemies of the Church.
Hello. In the middle of the 1800s, when Pope Pius IX reigned as the head of the Catholic Church, the enemies of the Church were growing in number and in power. When Pope Pius IX published the Syllabus of Errors in 1864, the enemies of the church were very angry because they wanted Catholics to believe their lies and heresies, and Pope Pius IX exposed them to warn Catholics of the danger. Only 6 years later, the enemies of the church attacked the Pope's land called the Papal States. One of the reasons for their attack was to try to silence Pope Pius IX so he could no longer ruin their evil plans. However, in fighting with the Pope, these men were actually fighting with God, and no one can win against God, who is all-powerful.
Welcome back. Let me read you some of the errors that Pope Pius IX listed on his famous Syllabus of Errors. Now, these aren't the exact words. I had to change them a bit in order to help you understand them. Here we go. It is an error to say that there is no God who created and takes care of everything. It is an error to say that God does not do anything in the world. It is an error that people can figure out everything on their own without God's help. It is an error that religious truths come from human reason alone. It is an error that God's teachings can change as people get smarter. It is an error to say that our Lord's miracles and teachings were just made-up stories. It is an error to say that the Church cannot judge philosophy and ideas. It is an error to say that the Church has to accept all philosophical ideas. It's an error to say that the Church should not have any power in the world. And it's an error to say that people should only follow their own ideas and not the Church's teachings. All of those things are errors that Pope Pius IX taught us about and warned us against. Well, that's all for today. Come back next time and we'll talk about the Great Depression, in which much of the Western world was plunged into poverty. I hope you enjoyed and learned something new today. Visit our website, www.gloriousheritagecartoons.com, where you can find more educational supplements, cartoons, books, and printables. You can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram to get notified of our latest updates and videos. And if you like our work and want to support us, you can make a donation on our website or on Patreon. We really appreciate your generosity and kindness. Please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel, and see you next time.